Hi, it's me, Lau Wing Sun again. Today, we are going to talk about the MRT. Everybody in town is very excited with the launching of the MRT Phase 1 line yesterday by the Prime Minister, and the MRT line is in full operation starting from today, and commuters are now enjoying a free ride on the MRT as well as its feeder bus system for 1 month until 17th of January. It's a good news. Some articles are saying that it is a hard work of hardworking Malaysia. It is a landmark that will push Malaysia up as a fully developed nation when its capital will have a full-fledged MRT line serving the residents of the Klang Valley. Yesterday, the Prime Minister, when he launched, he was very excited. He said that this project is not only below budget, but it's not only finishing on time, but it's below budget. So he said that as Prime Minister, as Finance Minister, he said he's very excited. He said rasa seronok. Well, I think if you say that you can save 2 billion ringgit on such a mega project, I'm wondering if this 2 billion ringgit will be translated into lower fare for the commuters, or if it is not translated into lower fares. I would like to ask if the general public will be benefiting from the saving of this 2 billion ringgit, or I'm just speculating, if they are not going to benefit from this saving, is this 2 billion ringgit will be channeled into somewhere else to fund another mega project or mega and luxurious foreign overseas shopping trip by those who are in power. So this is my first questions about the MRT project. But I think something that is very wrong in Najib's statement yesterday. The MRT project, especially this Phase 1 project from Sungai Buloh to Semantan, has always been a problematic project because a lot of lives were lost in the constructions of this project. You must not forget about this one. In fact, I would say, as Finance Minister, as Prime Minister, who was officiating such a important and huge mega project for Malaysia, I think the first thing, as a humble Prime Minister, the first thing I think he should do is to recognize the sacrifices of the workers, especially those who travel from countries like Bangladesh or Burma or Nepal to come to Malaysia and work tirelessly almost around the clock to make sure that this project completes on time. If you ask me, one of the reasons why this project can complete on time and well below budget, it was because of the efforts of these contractors and these workers who are working extremely hard. They were working at odd hours. They were almost working like 24 hours around the clock. They work in shift, and they are also exposing themselves to a lot of occupational risks. I'm going to list them down later, some of the fatalities that happened in constructing this MRT line. Not only that, I think because the Malaysian authority is not very tight and stringent in our enforcement, in our legal enforcement, in our legal enforcement, especially on occupational safety and health, and therefore a lot of these contractors who are working for MRT, they were given maybe some very lenient treatment. They were not being exposed or being subjected to some of the very harsh and stringent requirement and penalties if they were to construct such a similar project in other advanced or Western countries. So I think in a way, they can the reason why they can construct and finish the line on time and below budget was also because we have it's also because of our enforcement who are not really up to mark in enforcing some of the laws related to constructions, some of the rules and regulations related to occupational safety and health. I'm going to list down actually some of the fatalities that have happened in the construction of this MRT line. Now this line, they started construction I think sometimes in 11 or 12, including the design, the stage. I think the first fatalities was in August 2014. I think if you can still remember, it's a very serious accident. 3 Bangladeshi workers died after hit by a collapsing 300-ton concrete span at Kota Damansara construction site, and the effect of these fatalities or accidents is so serious that it triggers the resignations of Dato Ashar, who was then the CEO of MRT Corp. And subsequently, it was also reported that 3 engineers and senior engineers of the contractors they resigned from their positions. And I think that's all. I hardly heard anybody else or any senior management or any directors of any contractors or anybody else being charged in court for manslaughtering. Now these 3 Bangladeshi workers, but are they dying in vain? I am afraid not, because even after Dato Ashar resigned in 2014, subsequently in 2015 and 16, more accidents happened. 2015 February, another Bangladeshi worker was killed and another was injured when they were on the ground assembling a rebar, which is actually a reinforcing bars. And the tie gave way and the rebar fell and hit the worker, and the worker died because of this. This happens in February 2015. May, 3 months later, May 2015, another Bangladeshi worker died at the TRX MRT interchange when he was dismantling a temporary structure when concrete slabs fell on him and he died on the spot. 2016, this is also serious because it involves a Malaysian worker. 2016, not too far ago, 10 months ago in February, a Sabahan worker was killed when he was pinned down by a steel when installing the ceiling at Kota Damansara station at Kota Damansara. Now, friends, these are some of the reported cases in the press that I quoted and mentioned to you. How about near misses? How about injuries? How about accidents that they were not reported? If I believe if we have the figures and if the authority were to show us all the figures, it will be very, very surprising. And because the Malaysian authority are not charging the contractors, are not charging the developers, are not charging anybody from MRT Corp, almost nobody from MRT Corp has resigned except for Dato Ashar. And because none of these directors, none of these high senior management from contractors such as SP Setia or even Sunway are brought to a charge in the court, in an open court, and because all these people, they were only served with a very lenient, very short period of stop work order, maybe within 2 weeks to 1 or 2 months. Because of all these things, they are able to complete the job on time. Now, if we are constructing this project on time and below budget because we have a very efficient management, we have management and our teams of contractors are all highly aware of the rights and the environments that our workers are working in, be they whether they are Malaysian or non-Malaysians, and we give them enough training, and even if there is an accident, we learn from the mistake, we mitigate the risk that they are exposed to, we make sure they work under 100% safe environment, we give them all the training. If we were constructing this kind of mega project below budget and on time, I believe we have reason to feel proud of it. But I don't think we have that reason to feel proud of it, because I believe our workers, whether they are Malaysians or they are non-Malaysians, they were not given a fair treatment. I just list down just now, many of them are Bangladeshi. They work under extreme conditions. They're exposing their lives to all sorts of occupational risk. And I think if we are, and then of course the pay that they get was actually very much lower. A lot of people, a lot of contractors in Malaysia are employing foreigners, migrant workers to work on the site because they are cheap, and they always quote this reason because not only they are cheap but they're willing to work longer hours. Of course lah, you come here, they got nothing to do. Of course they will have to work 12 hours, 14 hours, 20 hours a day. Will they get sufficient rest? And if they are sufficient rest, if they are not getting sufficient rest and they are working for a long hour, for an extremely long working hour, then of course they will not be able to focus on their work, and very possible that they will be they're exposing themselves to all sorts of occupational risk. And and then if they are unlucky, they are the person who will got themselves killed. Now friends, this is a real issue. The construction site in Malaysia has always been regarded as a live burial ground for many people. Now we are talking about MRT project. What about other construction project? You got Malaysians, innocent Malaysians die because of something strange falling down from the sky. They got hit and they passed away and they lost their life just because of that. These are innocent Malaysians. Not too long ago in Mid Valley, we have another incident whereby I think 3 or 2 foreign neighbors, I think one of them is actually a Vietnamese, they passed away. And these are not by all these small time contractors or developers. You have big names like SSP Setia, you have big names like Sunway. And sometimes you just wonder what is happening to our constructions sectors. Are they really practicing sufficient occupational safety and health rules on site? We have a lot of laws. Are they really being strictly and fully implemented? What has the Department of Occupational Safety and Health done in order to ensure that the industry player are always adhering to the laws and regulations by the authority? These are my concern, and I believe everybody should not disregard this matter as small matters. I know some of you may say, maybe they are just foreign labours lah, never mind lah, can lah. I mean, we pay them some compensation and then we get on and move on lah. Otherwise, if this project can be completed on time, it is good for everybody. Yes, I agree with you, but don't you think that when we are moving towards a developed nation, we want to use this MRT as a hallmark for Malaysia being a developed state? Don't you think that we should pay a little bit of respect to human lives? I think this is a very important values that we must instill in every single Malaysian if we were to call ourselves as citizens of a developed nation. And of course, MRT. Number 2, I would like to talk about fair. Well, everybody was very excited. You got free ride for 1 month, of course. Free MRT, free feeder bus services. But what will happen after 1 month? Of course, line 1 is serving from between Sungai Buloh and Semantan. It's not a very long distance, but the fare they'll be charging commuters something between 3 to 4 ringgit a ride. If you use Touch and Go card, you'll get some discount. But the questions remains: what if the whole Sungai Buloh Kajang MRT line is in full operation? How much do you need to pay to travel from Sungai Buloh to Kajang? Or how much do you need to pay? Don't need to talk too long lah. If how much you need to pay from Sungai Buloh to KL? Very interesting questions. Now you're going to pay 1 ringgit for the feeder pass services. I also want to ask, when will this price be reviewed? I'm very sure this price will be reviewed and adjusted within a few years' time. 2 years, 1 year, 3 years, we don't know. But I think it depends on what types of contract are signed between the government and the concessionaire. So it's very important for us as citizens and users and residents of Klang Valley to ask these questions. Hey, how much do we need to pay actually? Give us the full list and tell us how much it will be increased or adjusted, and when will that be done? How long will it be done? Every 3 years, every 2 years? Please let us know. And I think this is a very important factor. We don't want the MRT line, we don't want even the LRT extension lines to be another BRT line. Now we have one BRT connecting between Sunway and Subang Jaya and Sri Setia. The problem with this BRT line, the cost was so expensive. The fare was so expensive to the extent that you need to pay one person about 5 ringgit to travel from one point to another point, from one point to the last point. And I think this is highly unreasonable, highly unaffordable, and totally ridiculous. If you are talking that you want to use the MRT to reduce traffic congestions, you want to draw the people to take the MRT, to take more public transportations and to drive less, then I'm sure one of the strategies that you have to use is to ensure that your fares are highly affordable and highly attractive. So I think this is very important. Whether we are paying something value for money or not, we are not sure. We don't know. Prime Minister said they saved 2 billion ringgit from phase 1 MRT SPK line. We want to know also whether these savings will be translated into lower fares. If the answer is yes, then the next question is how it will be translated. How much will be used to subsidize the rides? I think these are the two very pertinent questions that I think we should look into. Number one, we should at least be a humble nations and acknowledge the sacrifices of these workers, especially those who lost their lives when constructing the MRT stations. And number two, the fares must be reasonable. It must help Malaysians to save more when they are on public transportation mode. Otherwise, it just defeats the purpose. So I hope somebody from the MRT Corp can respond to these questions, and I hope the Prime Minister and the whole the cabinet can also acknowledge that we should do something to safeguard the interests and not only the interest but also the safety of our workers when they work in any construction site in Malaysia.